everybody, welcome back to the channel. A few weeks ago I created a black bowl that had a aluminium swarf, which is this stuff, and black resin set into the lip of an oak bowl. I want to do the same thing again, but instead of the resin I want to do what I did with the Milliput bowl and embed the aluminium swarf into Milliput and then put it into this. Now that sounds a bit like a history repeating itself, but I want to try something slightly different. When I've finished the inlay, when it's hard and when it's dry, I want to turn away the edge so you can actually see the side of the inlay, so it no longer becomes an inlay, if that makes sense. So hopefully you'll get the gist as we go along. But first steps first is that we have to turn this into a bowl. So we're going to use a worm screw to mount it. It's good enough. Right, I'll go and sharpen up the bowl gouge and we shall get cracking. Okay, this is all sharpened up and running true. We'll just start by facing this off and getting it perfectly round. Nice and quick and easy. Now with the Milliput, we're probably going to come down about half a centimetre, so 5mm. So we need a shape on the side that will accent a straight lip on the top as opposed to being curved up to it. So a fairly standard shape bowl is going to be ideal for this. So we'll start creating the shape on the side. Right, that's pretty much what I had in mind for the shape. Eventually when we do start to, the outside is going to have to be turned down twice, because first of all, getting the shape we want now, then we're going to put the inlay in, and then we're going to have to turn down the side again to reveal the edge of the inlay. Okay, so there's not an awful lot of finishing going to be going on at this stage before we turn it around. I'll do a bit of work on the bottom, obviously put the recess in for the jaws. But apart from that, we are nearly done with this side. Right, I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes sanding the bottom and a little bit of the sides. I'm not going to worry about this area yet, but I'm going to do the bits which are hard to do when you're on the lathe. Sorry, when it's turned around the other way. As ever, I'll let you watch the first couple of passes and then I shall pause it while I carry on sanding. Right, we've got it turned around and the basic sanding done on the inside. So now we're just going to start hollowing out, but we have to be a little bit careful about as we're hollowing out, because we're wanting the eventual lip of this bowl to be, I'll turn this on, but it's easier. We want the real lip to be between there . So imagine all of that being the eventual side walls of this bowl, and they're all going to be Milliput. So we need to turn in to about there and leave obviously this side. So everything in between is going to be our recess that we're going to fill with Milliput. I'm about to take the drawing off because I'm going to need to face this off first, but hopefully that gives the idea. Nice and flat. So I'll just quickly draw on those lines again. So one there, there. I'm going to need to fill all that area with our Milliput. And that's where we need to hollow out our bowl too in the first instance. So we'll start that. Okay, let's see where we're at. We've got enough of a gap either side of where we want the Milliput to be. The depth in the balls needs to be a little bit lower, but not an awful lot. That side's looking fine. Right, I think it's time to start cutting the inlay. And we want to try and cut the base as smooth as we can, because when that's cut back, you're going to be able to see that joint between the Milliput and the wood. So let's try and cut that in as neat as we can. Right, that's worked pretty well. We've got a nice flat surface to stick this on. And it's about 6-7mm deep. Is that 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/3 inch? I'm not very good with the imperial measurements. Oops, sorry, I'm not very good with the imperial measurements, but that should be enough for us to get this inlay in. Right, I'll get set up to make the Milliput concoction, whatever we're going to call it, and I'll bring you back in a second. Right, if you've not used Milliput before, it's basically a two-part epoxy putty. This is the hardener, that's the colour. When they're mixed together, they start reacting with each other and go hard. Makes sense? Right, I'm going to use this, what I have left here. When I did the bowl with the Milliput with the brass shavings, Out of curiosity, I contacted Milliput, the company that make this, and asked them if they'd ever seen anybody that had done it before, and they kindly informed me that they hadn't seen it been done before, so I was kind of chuffed with myself, as you can imagine. And they very, very kindly sent me another pack or two of Milliput to carry on with my experimentations, so here we are. I'm not endorsed, I mean, they give me a pack of putty, but I've been using their product for quite a few years and I would buy it anyway. But it's always nice to be appreciated for what you've done. Maybe I should have washed my hands first, but I think we'll get away with it. Now, it takes a bit of kneading. You can wear gloves for this, but it does wash off fairly easily. Right, we're nearly there. The more you knead it in your hands, the softer it gets. It's a bit like plasticine in that respect. Right, that's enough. Now we're going to try and get as much of the aluminium in as we can. And the process for this is basically like adding any kind of ingredient. Put it in and then just keep folding over until it becomes saturated. I'm trying to be a little bit more careful with this because the little spikes of these bits of aluminium could theoretically go into your finger end. Luckily aluminium is quite soft. It's a very malleable metal. Ow. It's impossible to get the kind of saturation that we would normally get with a resin bowl. So it's more of a hint of the aluminium side as opposed to it being jam-packed with the stuff. Right, okay. Right. Start feeding this into the... I want as good a adhesion as I can with the base, so I'm going to be pressing on very, very firmly to kind of wedge it into the gap. If I'd pre-finished the outside of the bowl, then I'd be very careful right now about not touching it, but as I haven't finished or sanded the outside, I'm okay to touch it. If you did touch a finished bowl, then it would have come out with a bit of isopropyl alcohol. Right, so I want as good as adhesion as possible to the base. I'm just going to keep on going round and pushing it in. When this stuff goes off, it goes incredibly hard. You can turn it, sand it, mill it, do many different things with it. So it's interesting stuff. It's good stuff. Right, we're going to leave that now for a few hours, and by the morning time it'll be ready to go. I'll see you then. Okay, it's the next morning, and this is rock hard. So I'm going to take a carbide and just start cleaning this up and make sure that what we've got is stable. Okay, it's not very hard, it's stable. A couple of voids in there which we may have to do something about, but we'll see how it goes. Right, before I do, actually I'm going to do another couple of passes on this, try and get this as smooth as I can, and then we'll have a look at starting to take the sides off. Right, I'm going to take the chuck off the lathe with the bowling tacked on it to put it upright, and just put a little bit of CA glue in a couple of the voids we've got, just to try and clear them up. Just got a thin CA glue. I'm just going to let that sit for a couple of minutes, and then I'll hit it with an activator and then put it back on the lathe. I'm going to take this very carefully. And the idea is we're going to take these first few bits away and then start taking away the edge of the wood, so all that's left is the Milliput on the inside. That's all right. I was starting to worry a little bit, but now we've got that clean edge on, there's quite a nice crisp line on the inside. Okay, excellent, we move on. Right, we've got some voids in the outside, but again we've got a nice clean line. The voids we can deal with in the same way that we dealt with the inside, sorry, with the rim. So I'll just do that now. Right, this void here just goes through to the surface, so I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on, because I don't want to be pouring this on and it'll all come out the side. Okay, we've gone up to 600 on the sanding, and now I'm going to seal it, and then we're going to go over with a bit of abrasive paste just to try and help polish up the rim. I never actually mentioned this is Sycamore wood we're using for this. Now it's a nice wood, but it always looks dirty to me. I'm not sure that's completely the case, but I'm not a great lover of Sycamore. I'm sure given the right piece it's a very beautiful wood, but for me it doesn't have an awful lot of natural lustre. The reason I'm using this using it this time is because this being an experimental case, I didn't want to risk my more expensive blanks on it. So, but now I know it works, I can be slightly more adventurous next time. Right, let's get this rubbed in. I'm using a bit of Yorkshire grit now, which is an abrasive paste. You can see with that rim, it's abrading the Milliput, so it's coming off quite black. So I don't want to be using that black bit over the rest of the product, so I'm going to try and steer away from it and then work towards it, and then not use that same bit twice. Beautiful. Right, the important bit now is to clean that off. So more isopropyl. I'm going to use a friction polish now to get the most out of this edge. Not sure if you heard that on the video, but just to have an enormous clap of thunder outside. We're nearly at the end now. When I've finished, I'll set it up for a few beauty shots. If you've liked the video, please feel free to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything and it means an awful lot to me. And if you leave a comment as well, then you'll be entered into a competition or a giveaway when we get to 1,000 subscribers. I'll be giving one lucky commenter a bowl, a handmade bowl. There we have it, a Milliput and Sycamore bowl, but with the Milliput forming the entire rim and infused with aluminium. I'm really quite chuffed with the way that's come out. And I'm very, very impressed with the adhesion qualities of Milliput. Right, well that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.